Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Maxwell Construction, who has been our sponsor since the very beginning. For over 30 years, Maxwell has delivered the highest quality projects by holding to their core values of customer satisfaction, positive attitude, respect, and excellence. So if you have any kind of commercial construction need, give Maxwell Construction a call today at 812-537-2200. Welcome to Rock Solid Radio. I'm Linda Hutchinson, joined by my jolly old Merle.
Jolly old? Wait, that makes me seem
I'm just kind of
fat.
like in the mood
Wait,
for,
Christmas is over.
Oh,
it's done. We survived
that's
it.
Really nice. I still have my cold.
Yeah.
That hasn't gone away.
No,
yeah.
mine either.
Yeah.
It's lighter than it was.
Yeah, I see that you're sporting a little Bengal shirt.
Oh, yeah.
There.
I mean, now we're coming into 2023. I mean, this is...
Yeah. You're on the bandwagon.
I have to apologize because, I am a bandwagon fan.
You are. Fair-weathered fan.
I am fair weather.
You got that for Christmas. That's why you're wearing it.
Yeah, well, sure. Yeah. I got a nice Bengals attire for Christmas. So, go Bengals. They're setting up okay.
So is that what you're looking forward to for 23?
Well, it would be fun because that is fairly early in the 2023 year. Yeah. So nothing would be better than to start the year.
What if people are listening and they're not Bengal fans?
That's their problem.
Maybe they don't even live in the Cincinnati area.
Listen, we have been in droughts like no other community in football in the history of the sport. So you have to just humor me and honor me.
We have people who listen from India, so they probably don't even know who the Cincinnati Bengals are. So
I don't know what to say about that.
I don't know. Maybe you don't even know what football is, but I'm glad you're listening. So what are we talking about today anyway? Because I don't think the Bengals are really going to be.
Our last show, we talked about the importance of a Christ-centered Christmas because, we got sick before Christmas. We were tired. We were looking forward to the family stuff and all that. But it's kind of like, I know you were like, I got so much to do.
We got 48 hours with everyone under the same roof.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen very often, only a couple times a year. So, it was
a big stress cooker
worrying
getting
about
up to
beds
that.
and chairs and, and also people are sleeping in our basement and we're finding out because our grandkids have been sleeping with us this week, staying with us, that it gets cold down here. We got little ones that are like...
My room's fine. Kids come home, their lips are all blue. I don't know.
Well,
Papa. So anyway, but we've got all that past us, but we did the Christ-centered Christmas because we say this all the time. When we do shows, it's usually because we've been struggling in an area, okay? And so the idea here is let's roll out of the Christ-centered Christmas. Let's keep that, right? But now we've got 2023.
Yeah, around the corner.
Right around the corner. So let's talk about expanding the Christ-centered part, and let's move into a Christ-centered 2023. Like, what would look different in 2023 than 2022 if I was doing better at putting Christ into focus better?
So I gotta confess.
Oh no! See, you guys are first to hear this, just like me. So
we were together with your sister and brother-in-law, and we have gotten together for New Year's every year since 1996. Okay, and so every year we would do. I think 96 is when we started the tradition of making predictions. And we make predictions, and
not resolutions.
Not,
we used to do resolutions that we failed so bad.
That's what I was going to get to, is that we used to include goals. We used to include goals.
Yeah.
And what we would do is we'd write them down, and then we share them with each other, and then and then we'd seal them up until the next, and the box would literally say, don't open until December 31st. And so every year that box.
Like a little time machine.
Yeah, so it's like a little time capsule. And then we'd open them up, and we literally cannot remember our predictions and our goals from year to year.
Yeah.
We finally decided to give up on the goals because we never...
nobody ever made a goal, but the predictions are always kind of fun
they're
because
like you'll say the Bengals win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and and we make 10 of them, and out of 10, like a good year is like if you get a 3 out of 10. If you got 3 out of 10, people are like, oh my gosh, you're like prophetic.
And it can't be anything that you have control over. Like, how many years have you wrote down that my brother-in-law Mark was going to get a new car?
No, I can write that down.
Right,
I can
for
write
him,
down
but he
that
can't
he's
write
going to
it
get a
down.
car. But for a while, he would write down, or my sister-in-law would write down, we're going to get a new car. I'm like, yeah, my sister. It's like, well, yeah, like how can you make a prediction that you're in control of? So.
We also, and this is a really cute tradition that we really have some sweet memories from now, is that we would actually host all of our kids when they were little and they didn't go anywhere for New Year's. We would host them and they would always play in the basement, have their own little movie trifecta thing and their snacks and all that stuff. But we would call them up one by one and we would interview them. And I'm telling you, again, back in the day, it was this big old camera that Mark would bring over, and then it got to smaller. Now we just use our phone. But we would ask them questions like, who are your friends? Do you have a boyfriend or girlfriend? Like, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
What's your prediction, or what was your favorite movie? Just anything. But it's so cool to go back, and it's so precious because this little toothless little first graders telling you about their friends, or it was cute.
It's a pretty neat video catalog that shows the years incrementally and their changes, and that's probably
even
cool.
voices.
And that's an idea that, guys, if you ever want to do something that's kind of fun, and your kids will, as they get older, they want to watch.
Yes.
Like even this day when our adult children come home, sometime over the break, they'll say, hey, let's get out some of the old videos, and they'll watch themselves, like you said, with no teeth, or talking about the girlfriend from first grade or whatever. So that is fun stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. But besides that, what is your goal for 2023? What are you looking for?
So you are going to ask me about my goals.
I mean, we won't write them down, put them in the time capsule, but
we'll just record them for
rest of the Earth
to see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one goal. A goal that I had for 2022 was to get the kettle bar manufactured.
What's the kettle bar?
The kettle bar is the piece of equipment that we made in our gym that we finally got a patent on it back in 2022. And I was able to get with a company and actually get it manufactured at a level that we can mass produce. Okay. And so so that was a goal in 2022, but now I got to sell them. So the goal in 2023 is actually to market and sell and get them out on the market. And I just have so much faith in this product. I mean, it's just a great product to use. It's fun. It's very effective in the fitness world and lifting and stuff like that. So so one of our goals is to actually be selling them and help it to support our ministry and everything else here.
Yeah, it's for the bang for the buck. It is an amazing piece of equipment that does so much.
You won't find another piece of equipment that does as much as this does.
Yeah, you'll have to go on my reels, and I've taken some video. It's really cool. But so that's exciting to see, and I'm excited for 2023 for your kettle bar.
How about you?
You
don't get out free here. You have any goals?
Well, one of the goals...
be nice to your husband types or anything like that?
No, that's not on my list.
Oh.
No, actually, one of my goals in 2023 for our ministry, and we've talked about this and with our board, and it's actually been voted on, is to hire another coach. And we're actually in conversation with a younger young woman who I believe, because really 2 to 1, hun, women come into our office.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just think it's families that come into Rock Solid Families, because it's not. It's individuals, couples, families. So you and I both do couples. You and I both do families. But then I see all the women and the girls, teenage girls, young adults, and you see all the men, teenage boys. And so that is a 2 to 1 ratio. And that's heavy.
You have almost enough teenage. When I say teenage, I'll take it up to 21, 22 years of age. Girls right now that we could pretty much our new person could pretty much center around them.
Yeah, and it's an epidemic, and you've probably seen out there, if you're listening, the mental health crisis that we're in, and it's really hitting our girls and our young women hard. They're overwhelmed, they're anxious, depressed, feeling hopeless. I'm not saying it's not happening to men. It actually is coming out in anger.
Right.
The depression in men is coming out as anger, but the women, it's coming out in that sadness and that anxiety and stress. And so it's happening into our little girls. Like, we've got moms that are calling for 7, 8, 9-year-old girls who are struggling. And so we really have got to beef up that ability to really minister to those families. So that's our goal. That's my goal. Our goal in 2023 is to
a couple of them anyway.
An additional counselor or coach.
So let's get into our show about the Christ Center 2023.
Yeah.
All right. Let's thank a few of our sponsors, and then we'll roll from there. Okay. We want to thank Maxwell Construction and Casey's Outdoor Solutions for supporting Rock Solid Radio and just the ministry work at Rock Solid Family. So we want to thank you guys for that. Continue to support. These guys have been longtime sponsors now.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been
We're
there
so thankful for them.
From the beginning, or nearly the beginning, that they have been along.
Yeah.
So we want to thank those guys.
We just have just amazing community partners, period. You can go on our website into Rock Solid Partners, and all these businesses and churches and other nonprofits who support us. And we really partner together. And so we're so thankful as we close out 2022. We want to thank all of our partners and families that have walked alongside us, hundreds that have just really financially supported us or through prayer. And that's really given us the opportunity to do what we're doing. And so if you want to partner with us, we would love to have your support, whether that be through prayer or financial support, your generosity, because it allows us to never turn anyone away. Anyone who walks through our doors, we serve regardless of their ability to pay, because we believe that God has us here to offer hope and help to really a broken world who are searching and desperate for something that they can hang their hat on and trust in.
Yeah. One of those things that we are trying to serve people with is we started this in 2022, but now rolling it out. And Hannah, correct me, I don't know if the package deals are on the website
They are
yet.
not.
Okay, so we'll get these on the website, but the Rock Solid Marriages, we created the program in 2022, and now we have refined it so that it's just not the program as it was originally built, but now there's 3 different levels or options, gold, silver, bronze, and I won't go into the details. We'll get that on our website for you at rocksolidfamilies.org, and you can see the price point is a big difference, so that people can reach into it at the level that they can afford. Okay, right. And it's just a matter of the amount of service that you get for your money. Okay, but check that out, Rock Solid Marriages. If you could, as a gift to somebody, as a gift to your own marriage, you can use it to enhance your marriage. You can use it if your marriage is struggling. Obviously, if it's truly struggling, we would ask you to dig in deeper to the more advanced packages, because it has a lot of one-on-one involved with that.
Yeah, and we have families, parents who will gift this to their children as they prepare for marriage. And so it's an amazing premarital marriage package as well that really sets them on a course of really a foundation that is rock solid, that is unshakable, so they can build their lives on. So that would be a beautiful gift in 2023 if you have somebody you know and love that is getting married. Reach out to us, and we'd be glad to have that conversation with you.
All right, so here we are, knocking on 2023, okay? And one of the things that Linda and I see in our work is we are faith-based in our ministry, but we don't reject anybody who comes into us that that maybe doesn't have a faith, doesn't know their faith, maybe even claims agnostic or atheist beliefs. And the numbers of those are increasing. But here's a number that I think is increasing that I think is every bit as alarming as if we heard like the atheist. And it's I think there's some different phraseology that is being used with these groups. There's like the SBNRs, which are the a spiritual but not religious.
SB.
Spiritual but not religious.
Okay, SBNR.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this is a group of people now. The Barna Group has actually studied, like how faith, the health of faith, or belief systems, are coming along within our culture. And this is a group that's been growing. That people are like, no, I don't know about Jesus or anything, but like I believe in a spiritual world of sort. Okay, but it's not attached to anything. It's just more like, I think there's something that I can't see, and there's some power to it, all right? But that's about as detailed as they will get. Yeah. There's another group out there that's, I love Jesus, but not the church. Okay, so these are the folks that I've heard enough about Jesus, and I like his words, I like what he says, but the whole church thing, I don't do the church thing.
Yeah, can we talk about that? Because you and I have worked with enough people. I've worked in the church, and then through Rock Solid, our own Rock Solid Families, our own nonprofit, to know that comes from deep previous church hurt.
Yeah.
That comes from something happened, whether it be as a child, somebody who claimed to be a Christ follower hurt you, or the church betrayed you, or maybe they let you down, or they weren't there when you needed them. Like something happened to create this environment. And so if you're a Christ follower out there and you believe in Jesus and you go to church, can I just tell you, we got to do a better job. We got to be a better job of reaching out to the lost, to sharing the hope that we have. I mean, the Bible says to always be prepared, whether it be at Kroger's, whether it be in the line at the BMV, whether it be at a kid's soccer game. We have got to be prepared to give a reason for the hope that we have. And if you can't speak that, if you don't have it ready to go, you're going to miss opportunity after opportunity to love on and to reach out to people who are desperate for hope.
Yeah. And so as we talk about the 2023 and coming in, and there's always goals. I want to get to the gym more. I want to eat better. But one of the things that I think is really important is how are you aligning your life in terms of how do you make decisions? How do you know what's valuable in your life? How do you know if how you're spending the resources you have well or not? Are you using worldly standards, like maybe your bank account is higher than it was last year? Or are your relationships deeper than they were last year? Like, how are you measuring these things that talk about the quality of life? And in 2022, we had several deaths in the family. And one of the things that you and I were reminded about is that and I think we're feeling more and more this way. Like money is becoming less and less of our focus,
priority.
Right? We're not saying money's not important. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is, man, like when you lose somebody, or when you see somebody that's hurting because of illness, and you're connected to them, or you see somebody lonely. We have several family members now that are experiencing loneliness at a level that they've never had because they've lost somebody. And you start to go, man, I need to get my act together. Like, how am I building my life? Yeah. So, I ask you, here's a few categories that Barnum and then Statistica.com that reported these. And these are some statistics that I think all of us can kind of fall in, okay? Not to label or anything, but it's like, well, where would I fall in this? Right now, 31% of Americans never attend church. Okay, so that's a third. 22% attend every week. Okay, so 22% of Americans attend every week. All right. 25% seldom attend, and it kind of sometimes we hear them described as the creasters.
Christmas and Easter.
Yeah, okay. But here are a few other things.
I've heard of also Mother Creasters.
Mother Creasters.
Mother's Day in there.
Because that's on Mother's Day,
kids
mothers want to go to church.
Yeah.
On Father's Day, fathers don't go to church. That's a whole other story. Approximately 11 to 15% of Christians read the Bible every day. 10 to 14% admit to reading several times a week. 9% admit to reading once a week. 9% say once a month. 10% once or twice a year, and 30% of Christians, these are people that are Christians, by the way, never touch the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay, they never touch it. And so here's part of what we're kind of getting to here. Religious practices, I'll call them religious practices, but be careful. I'm not associating those with a church. Religious is almost like routinely. I religiously work out. I religiously attend church. I religiously eat well, okay? And so we're talking about practices here. And the importance about practice is it indicates how you live your life. If you have the idea here that you believe something's really important, okay, and you don't ever do a practice for it, if you say that your marriage is really important, but you don't do daily practices, you're really just lying to yourself, okay? It will definitely start to show, because practice is what allows us to become better, okay? And I think it's just important that we understand. You make fun of me, but I like to make these sports analogies. Sometimes people throw away the Christianity because they see other people fail that call themselves Christians. And it's like, oh, yeah, all right, that guy calls himself a Christian, and he's a hypocrite. He's this, he's that. And it's kind of like, listen, that's why it is a practice, guys. Like, all of us are failures. And it's more of the intention of the heart that we're looking for in 2023. What is the intention? Is it a Christ-centered intention of the heart? When I go up to play baseball, do I have an intention to hit the ball every time? Absolutely, I sure do. I want to hit the ball every time I go up to the plate. Will I? Not a chance, right? Right? I mean, our best baseball players, are hitting maybe a third of the time, okay, actually hitting the ball. And we consider those baseball players very successful. And life can be that way too, because there's so many moving factors. And that's why hitting a baseball is so hard. It's considered to be one of the hardest skills because you have so many moving aspects at one time, having it all come together at the same time. And life is that way. And so our Christian walk can be filled with failures. Right? But we have to put good practices in so that we get better and better at them.
Yeah. So I'm going to get really practical here, because we grew up in a church home, but we really didn't practice. We kind of just went through the motions sometimes.
You did. I mean, you did practice, but you didn't always understand the practice.
Exactly. And so my learning was very bad. And so honestly, I didn't even own a Bible. I didn't even know how to use the Bible. I was embarrassed to go to a Bible study or even like talk about it, because I had no idea. And so about 10, 15 years ago, I committed that every year I was going to read the Bible through. Now, when I started that practice, I used a study Bible, a life application Bible that had some cliff notes in it that helped me understand what I was reading.
Great resource.
Because it was really hard to really even figure out, especially if you start in Genesis, okay? By the time you're in Numbers, you're like, okay, I'm done. Leviticus. Yeah. And so what I did is I went online and I found a Bible reading plan that did a little bit of Old Testament, a little bit of New Testament, a little bit of Psalms and Proverbs, a little bit of letters, a little bit of and so history. And so it literally gives me a taste of everything all week long. And it's got a little bubbles that I bubble off, okay? And I'm not saying this to brag on myself. I'm saying this is what you just said. I had to make it a practice. Now, some people would say that makes it like too legalistic. Okay, if that's not your thing, that's fine. But I needed something to keep me on that routine and to keep it a priority. So I will miss a day or so, okay? But sometimes I'll read 2 days. And so it's really cool because I'm in December now. And so I'm looking at, I've got just the book of Revelation left. That's all I got. And so I can see that, you know, I have done all of these things to get to that place. And so 2023, I would love for you to join me. I'm going to put that reading plan on our website when this airs. Maybe we'll even put a link in the show, and that we can literally say, hey, let's read together. and you may not understand everything you're reading. That's okay. But I cannot tell you how many times God has spoke to me through his word for exactly what I needed to know that day because I was on Psalm 23 or whatever, and so it's just the Holy Spirit is the Bible is alive and active. It's sharper than a double-edged sword, the Bible says, and so it can speak to you, it can minister to you, but you got to give it a chance.
Yeah. Well, honey, you brought up something about the reading, and I've struggled to read. I'm not a good reader in terms of focused, long attention. It's my best way to go to sleep. Linda will be over there reading before bed, and I'll say, I'm going to read, and I'll get about a page and a half, and my eyes are shut. And so here's part of our point here. So then I could beat myself up. I'm not getting that. I'm not getting it. Just like, let's go back to the baseball player, all right? Not every baseball player has to practice the exact same skills.
Right.
Every player has their own strengths and their own weaknesses, and they need to work on their game, and how they're going to play it, how they're going to approach it. And so that's why we have to be really careful. Sometimes churches or different routines can cast the blanket. Everybody has to do this and it has to look this way, and that can make it uncomfortable. All right, like I could, if you said every night you're going to have to read exactly what I read, I would become resentful and I would dig my heels in because it would be a reminder of my failure and the ability to read and understand and comprehend. So,
but the point is, though, you can't say you're a baseball player if you never practice.
It's exactly, and so you practice.
Yes, you got to do something.
Right. And so let's be clear on there are so many different things, and Christ, like, we are not to do things that are about the law, okay? In other words, to make sure that we didn't eat the meat or we did eat the meat and check the box. But Christ gives us all kinds of commands. Now, we're not going to read every command that Christ gives, but there's so many areas that when you look at some of these different commands that he gives that I can go, wow, that one I could work on, right? Or that one, I naturally do that one pretty good. Like, I'm not going to read every single one, but here's some things like Christ, some of his commands. He says to repent. He says to rejoice. He says to let your light shine, right? He says to forgive your enemy, all right? So these are things, if you read through the commands of Christ in the New Testament, right, through his Gospels, he challenges us with commands. I need you guys to be doing these kinds of things to play well, to be in good practice. And so these are the types of things that we challenge you guys with.
But we're here to say that's not what's going to get you to heaven.
No.
And so, we are saved by grace, okay, through faith in baptism for good works.
Yep.
Okay, we're saved by grace through faith in baptism for good works, okay? Our good works are our fruit.
Yep.
And so I would love for you, if you're listening to this show this week, to go on our website and to read our blog, Living His Best Life, because there was a young man who was doing that. He was checking all the boxes. He was going to Mass every day. And he was doing his rosary, praying his rosary, and he was living that life, God, that wanted him to live. And he realized that, oh my gosh, in his word, it says it's a gift. It's a free gift. I don't earn it. I don't deserve it. And that was life-changing for that young man. And he spoke about that to other Christians a year before God took him home to be with him. And it's almost like he gave this young man that gift to realize that he can rest in him, that when he sought him first and when he put his focus on him, that everything else fell into place. And you didn't have to be perfect. You didn't have to check the boxes. So we're not here to say you got to check this box and this box. We're saying it's a gift. Last week's show was talking about it's a gift, but we can do the practices to get closer to him, that we can have that fruit to show others how we get our peace, how we find our joy.
Yeah. Well, the faith without deeds is empty, right?
It's dead, the Bible says, in James.
Yeah, and so the idea here is if we're going to actually then live the life, we will do the practices because we actually believe that is where the fruit is. That's where it comes out. That's where we are the hands and feet. So we've got 10 areas that we want to just, in 2023, right? You can do all 10 if you want. You can pick and choose. But these are areas that we would ask you to consider to commit to. Commit to them in your life and what it might look like, right?
Not to get into heaven, okay?
No.
Because again, it's a free gift
practice.
to become better and practice and to grow closer to God, to have that relationship, that intimacy. Hun, if you and I said we were married, but we never talked to each other, we never spent time together, it wouldn't feel like a marriage.
Right.
I wouldn't have that intimacy with you. And that's exactly the same way with God. We want 2023 to be the best year yet for you. And it's going to come through, as we mentioned, our first thing is Bible reading, is getting into his word. It's like a love letter to you that he wants you to hear, those promises he's made, the guidance he has for you, the way you can find peace. It is in his word. And that's what I have found through that reading every year. It gets me closer to the Lord. And so we would really encourage you to do that in 2023.
All right. So here's one. Commit to daily Bible reading or daily reading, okay? It could be some level of spiritual reading.
But I would be cautious about that.
Yeah, well, and that's...
Because a lot of times they
Yep.
spin God's word to kind of give a narrative,
Yep.
right? So I would go to the source.
Go to the source first and foremost. Know why you're doing the practices that you do, and that's why you could even look up a really cool thing to look up is what we did just for the show is look at the commands of Christ. Christ actually makes several commands where he says, I command you to do this, okay? And not, well, this is a good idea, maybe you should consider it. No, he actually commands people to do certain things. And so, he is the one that shows us the way.
Right.
And so...
For our benefit.
Yeah.
It's for our benefit. It's not because he's this ogre and this bossy boss. It is because he loves us and he wants us to experience life to the fullest, and that's going to come through following his commands.
Yeah. Commit to daily prayer. I look at prayer as a whole lot like talking.
Yeah.
Right? Like just like you said, like if you and I never talked, you said we were married, at some point it would become a legal marriage because we don't interact. We don't exchange anything. Right. It's just legally we've checked that box legally, but we're not actually living a life of marriage.
Yeah, yeah. Commit to acts of forgiveness. That is a command. And, hopefully you listen to our show on Forgiving Forward with our special guests, Bruce and Tony Hebel. And it was an amazing show. And it was definitely eye-opening for a lot of people who were like, oh, you mean my torment is because of my unforgiveness?
Yeah.
I mean, it's directly connected. The Bible tells us that. And so he's commanding us to forgive so that we can experience peace. Not the other person, us.
Yeah. And the number 4 is commit to your own shortcomings. How about this? How often have you said you were sorry?
Ooh.
Okay. So in 2023, if saying you're sorry for something gives you a bitter taste in your mouth, how about practice that? Because it is through your ownership of your wrongdoings that allows you to understand who Christ is and who you are.
Yeah,
okay,
and who you're not.
You're right. And so confessing and owning your shortcomings is just it's a truly important thing to do. And when you're around people that are good at doing that and they follow it up, you're so much more at ease.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to prove anything, because you already know that they're not measuring you and judging you.
Yeah.
But as soon as you feel judged and measured by somebody, you're going to be very hard to own your shortcomings.
Yeah. Those are contagious people to be around when people are just very honest and open and humble. Another one, and we find this in this area, is a church home, okay? Hun, we are doing a before-school Bible study at our local middle school, and we have over 100 kids on our roster now. And they come early before school. Parents drop them off. And it is amazing how we'll have 100 kids on this roster, and a third of them have no church home. They don't even know what a church home is. And so it's like these parents are getting up early and they're driving their children to something, but then they're not following up with it. They're not giving them any foundational home and family to really lean on. Even if your biological family is a mess, or maybe it's non-existent around you, maybe they're away. A church home is such a place where a kid can feel loved and accepted and wanted and encouraged. And so we would really just encourage you to find a church home, find a family of believers that you can do life with.
Yeah. The next point, and I think this one is huge, and I think so many people, this is the one that actually makes me believe in God more than anything else that I do. Commit to being out in God's nature.
When it's 16 below?
Even when it's 16, like when you're out in God's nature and you actually take the time to walk around and you actually just see how it works, if you're not blown away, there's something wrong. Because it's really amazing. And I always said, I started off many years ago as a science teacher, and the longer I taught science, the more I dug into my faith. Because that's what really won me over. And Scripture's clear about, like, even those who've not heard the word will know by God's nature of God's presence. And so get out in his nature. Things like these cell phones and stuff that we have are great mask that cover up what actually, and we think we're all awesome and great because of the things we've created with technology, and it puts us on the throne, but none of it even comes close and can even understand the smallest, simplest things of God's nature. So spend some time out in his nature.
Yeah. The next one is shining the light in kindness, okay? And I would challenge you, because I was challenged this several years ago on staff, to make a list of your top 10. Make a list of the top 10 people who do not know Christ in 2023 and commit to shining your light, his light, to those top 10. Show them the love of Christ, whether it be making a meal for them after they have surgery, or maybe it's sending them a random card and telling them happy birthday, or maybe it's taking them to lunch and sharing the gospel with them. When I did my top 10 of years ago of people who did not know Christ, I was kind of embarrassed that I did not know 10 non-Christians, unbelievers. I didn't even know, my circle was so tight with believers that I had not put myself out there, whether it be at work or with friends, because I worked at a church, that kind of maybe is why, but like, how can I shine the light of Christ to people who don't know him? And so we would make a top 10 list and shine the light on those folks.
Yeah. The next one is to commit to the fruits of the Spirit.
What are those?
And so our fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, and self-control.
Goodness.
And I forgot goodness.
Faithfulness.
And self-control.
There's a song. See, I used to be a children's minister.
And so the idea of what those fruits of the Spirit are, but I always like to read the passage right before that in Galatians, and that is the fruits of the flesh.
Yeah.
And it's the fruits of the flesh that reminded me, oh, wow, those are the things. And that's where anger and malice and sexual immorality come into play. And so committing to the fruits of the Spirit, like, I know I'm not always the happiest guy, but this year I'm going to make it a greater point to have a little bit more of that joy in my life. Yep. Not just so that I can look that way, but I actually can feel it within me. So commit to those.
Commit to the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians 5, I think it is. The number 9 is commit to taking care of this temple. God is dwelling inside us if you're a Christ follower, and he wants you to take care of his temple. And so he created us. He wants us to care for us. And so make a commitment that 2023 you're going to get healthy. And so we can go do a whole show on that. We probably will in 2023, but make a commitment now that you're going to make some changes, whether it be stop smoking, whether it be cut back on drinking, whether it be start to exercise, whether it be maybe reduce that salt intake or that sugar intake to bring your blood pressure down.
Back off.
Whatever.
Back off. You went too far there.
There you go. So that's number 9.
Yeah. And then the last thing is, this is also so cliche, and the idea of how we are to love one another and to love your enemy. I really get confused on the words love and like. How can I love somebody if I don't even like them? And so the idea here, committing to love, that means to care for, to place value on people, even if you don't like them. Liking is a personality thing. right? And so you might have a personality thing that just you bump heads, you don't problem solve the same way, your sense of humor is not the same, your priorities in life maybe aren't quite the same. But love means that you still value them as a person. And so you are willing to serve and to do for them. It has nothing to do with like. And all my life, I've always had a judgment filter of like, well, I'll love you if I like you, right? And I think your kids are your first time that you really get tested in that, because sometimes you don't like your kids.
No.
and you go, okay, well, I still love them.
Yeah.
Because
you don't like what they do.
You don't like what they do, and you bump heads on certain issues. But to actually challenge yourself this year, like, you know that guy that you, every time you see him, his name comes up in your mind, you just kind of roll your eyes in the back of your head. You know, what can you do to at least honor and show them that they are every bit as valuable as you are?
Yeah. So that's our top 10 to how to have a Christ-centered 2023. We hope that you took some notes. Hopefully you'll commit to at least one of those to make a difference in this year coming up. So this is our last show for 2022.
Wrapping it up.
You got any wise words to end this year with?
You know, remember when we were finishing up 2020 and like good riddance to COVID and like hope it never hits you in the butt or hope it lets
Do you
the
feel
door
that
hit
way
you in the
about
butt?
2022?
I don't feel that way about
Okay, good.
2022.
Yeah.
So I do feel like there's been a greater sense of normalcy, not
Yeah.
quite where we want it. We still have a lot of crazy economy stuff, always crazy political stuff. As we record this, the war in Ukraine is still very devastating and difficult. So I'm praying that we just see some of that hopefully end, and seeing some normalcy and people understanding the reason for having a Christ-centered 2023.
Yeah. People like never before need to have hope. And what are they going to hope in? Because so many things are crumbling around them. But God has given us Jesus Christ to be the hope for the world, to be the light in the darkness. So please go out and share that message with someone today. Please, 2023, commit to coming alongside 10 people that you're going to share the light, to shine the light into that darkness in their life. And so we're going to hopefully make it a little brighter in 2023.
Yeah. Hey, low-hanging fruit, start with your family.
Yes.
Start with your family. I'm telling you, that's where
Start with your spouse.
Yeah, like do something really nice for your spouse.
Oh, goodness.
All right, we better thank our sponsors. Thanks to Maxwell Construction and Casey's Outdoor Solutions. Also, thanks to all of our listeners out there. Please give us the 5-star ratings. Give us a thumbs up. Spread the messages. These are the things that make us know that what we're doing is helping. It is of value, and that's gives us some motivation to go another day. So thank you for doing that. Please let us know if we can help you. You can go to our website always to get information in terms of what we're offering, what we're doing.
RockSolidFamilies.org.
Right? Or you can call the office at 812-576-7625.
Yeah, so thank you so much for listening to Rock Solid Radio, building a stronger community, one family at a time. Happy New Year, and make it a great 2023.
Rock Solid Radio wants to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions. Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. They offer a wide selection of high-quality plants, landscaping materials, and home decor. They do amazing high-quality work and can help you transform your indoor and outdoor living spaces into something beautiful. So stop by Casey's Outdoor Solutions today and let them know you appreciate their support for Rock Solid Radio. Visit Casey's today at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana.